Not looking forward to this. Well, we've got the caution sign. I would say the caution is try not to slip on the ice. And it is icy today. And yes, we are making history in the winter weather department, spreading the misery. Here, last day in Washington, D.C., we've got some altocumulus waves on the northern edge of a front that it stretches from the Gulf of Mexico to the coast of South Carolina. It is 8:15 a.m. Washington, D.C. is 16 degrees with a wind chill of 3. And that's pretty good compared to what's going on in other parts of the country. So the biggest news this morning, national advisories, watches, and warnings. Much like yesterday, the extent of the extreme cold stretches from Mexico to Canada. I should say Canada to Mexico, right? Because it came from the north, and those dark blue. And then you have the winter storm warning, like I have never seen, from the extreme southern tip of Texas, all the way down to Brownsville, right up along the coast through New Orleans, Biloxi, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, North Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina. All have winter storm warnings. And word from Houston, pre-sunrise, Houston, Texas, big fat snowflakes. Somewhat unprecedented, probably not unprecedented, but what is unprecedented is what's happening in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And I got all this video, I can't remember everyone's name, but there is a blizzard warning here in Lake Charles, Louisiana. And first light showing snow drifts more than 9 inches deep and still snowing. Blizzard warning through lunchtime. First time in recorded history, since we've been keeping track, that a blizzard warning has been issued for the coast of Texas and Louisiana, right where they meet there, west of New Orleans. New Orleans just has a winter storm warning. And the cold is expansive. It's coast to coast. I don't know if you always talk about extreme. Usually when there's record warm somewhere, a record cold somewhere, there's record warm somewhere. And yeah, there were record high temperatures in Alaska last few days. And the record cold is from Oregon to Massachusetts, coast to coast, from Minnesota to Texas and Louisiana. Dozens of record low temperatures this morning. And just over the border in Ontario this morning, it's about 42 below zero. Summit of Mount Washington got down to 19 below zero yesterday, or no, I think 18 below zero. Anyhow, coldest so far this season, but the record on Mount Washington is 39 degrees below zero from January 21, 1968, so not the coldest on record here in the Northeast. And the wind was about 30 miles per hour in Mount Washington, down from a gust of 100 yesterday. Hearing some action. I don't think that was the air conditioner. There's the air conditioner unit up there. And the views around New England this morning, here's the temperature map. I saw 11 below zero in Jaffrey, New Hampshire, Boston 14, so where there's a little breeze, red numbers are wind gusts, not that much wind. But you have a couple of areas there that went calm and clear last night, 22 below zero at Whitefield and Berlin, New Hampshire, but not for the most part record cold in New England. But the expanse of this winter weather is historic. Everything that seems to be going on lately seems to be historic, including what's going on in Washington, D.C. Yesterday, I'll talk about it in a minute, I tried to move opposite direction of the action, but it was hard to get away from everything. And so many monuments and everything I would have liked to see in museums, but it was so hard to get around, so we walked in the opposite direction. There goes the planes taking off. People are getting out of town this morning. Safe travels for everyone. There's the moon in the sky. And what's going to happen now? I'm going to go New England centric, and it can't get much colder, but Shrewsbury, Massachusetts this morning, Steve's house, it did look like, what was that, negative 2.7 there in your backyard on your Tempest weather system, Steve, where it's not snowing anywhere in New England, but I think it is going to snow later today in parts of New England, and that would make it day 21 in a row with snow. And often when it's not snowing in the mountains, it tries to snow at the coast. When this kind of weather pattern sets up. And I'm going to take a model today that is the worst case scenario if you don't like winter weather. If you do like winter weather, the GFS is the best case scenario. I don't believe any of the guidance has a real good handle on what's going on, and there are going to be surprises, as there often are in weather. And I guess we should look one more time at the surface analysis. I kept talking about high pressure was in control last week, and blizzards were a result, and this is like the third blizzard in 2 weeks in the south. The high pressure systems are in control. So it's a 1018 low pressure system on a front that's in the Gulf of Mexico. And that front incidentally stretches out into the Atlantic Ocean, and there's another one to its north. And there's a 1042 high, so not quite as high as some of the guidance had predicted. 1042 high around Kansas, and a 1044 high over, looks like Colorado, with a front in between. So these little fronts in this kind of cold extreme weather can do some damage in the ruin the forecast department. So let's go forward. Start with that Shrewsbury meteogram that you can get at weather.us, and you can choose any model. And I'm gonna click on the GFS for Shrewsbury, and it looks like steady as she goes here for the most part, with the cold and dry weather, high temperature in the teens to lower 20s, low temperature around 0 for the next 48 to 72 hours. And then it starts to warm up a little bit, and then it gets a little bit more interesting about next Sunday and Monday with some snowflakes or maybe raindrops coming into southern New England. But before we even get there, probably not too many people talking about it, the snow that could come to the south coast tonight, and we'll use the HRRR on this. HRRR, high resolution rapid refresh, comes out every hour, and then 1 a.m. and 7 a.m. it goes out for 48 hours, and this is the 1 a.m. run, and there's snow over Cape Cod and Nantucket. So Nantucket gets the most snow in the next 24 hours in New England, and that moves away tomorrow. So that's the northern edge of the front that is producing the wintry weather from Texas to South Carolina, North Carolina, reaching up and in and out of southeastern Massachusetts. And I think this could happen several times over the next several days and next week. And as for snowfall amounts from this one, I'm going to use the Kuchera, which I never use because it's so cold. And this one tries to predict the density of snow. When it's so cold, you get a much higher ratio. In other words, normal ratio is 10 to 1. 10 inches of snow for every 1 inch of water, but this one with such cold air will be more like 20 to 1. So real fluffy snow in the forecast for Nantucket and off of Lake Ontario. Lake Erie must have frozen over or something because it's not showing too much snow there, but near Watertown, New York, just 61 inches of snow in the next 48 hours, and on Nantucket, that's 2 or 3 inches of snow. All right, now let's go to the GFS, the big picture pattern. We're gonna go 240 hours, gets us to January 30th. And it's subject to change. You can hear those massive fences being pulled down right over there. That was the secure area where the president was over the last 48 hours. He was all over the place yesterday. Couldn't get out of the way, really, of him traveling around, and it was just gridlock. More on that in a few minutes. GFS, okay? This is the worst case scenario. Unless you like winter weather, then you can consider it the best case scenario, with that storm just kind of clipping, and GFS shows it mostly missing New England over the next 48 hours. That's why we go to the HRRR. That's a higher resolution. And anyhow, the high pressure system that's so cold over the middle of the nation with all those record lows goes off the coast. And on the backside of that, there is a little low pressure system, but all the guidance is that missing to the south on Thursday and Friday. I'll believe it when I see it. I bet Cape Cod gets clipped from that one because the air's so cold and the wind will probably come on shore. And then it's just kind of steady as she goes with it looks like another Arctic front trying to come in here without too much action, just kind of transition back to a somewhat colder air, especially up in the sky. That'll mean some upslope snow on Thursday and Friday with a warming trend over the weekend. But the Arctic air lurks just over the border in Canada, and it looks like a wave of low pressure coming out of the Great Lakes. And there it is, some snow for New England, rain snow line very close to the south coast next Monday into Tuesday, followed by another Arctic surge with the 240 hour now out to 7 p.m. January 30th. Is that a Thursday? And it shows the 504 thickness across New England, and that is very cold Arctic air, and the 480 obscene cold Arctic air just north of New England with a high pressure system over the Great Lakes. That'll be a direct infusion of cold air into New England to close out January if this is right. And the odds on it being right are probably about 30 or 40%. So there's about a 60 or 70% chance this is wrong, and we may end up with more snow or less snow, and it couldn't be any colder than that output, and so it would probably be warmer. So I would probably go with some rain and snow trying to come at us to close out January, with temperatures going back to close to seasonable, which is much warmer and wetter than what that GFS shows. All right, I think that's enough for the weather. We've made our point. We've made history. I'm going to get back on the plane, and it should be a pretty good tailwind flying home today. Looking forward to getting T-Rex and the cats. And so yesterday, for the and more, I thought I'd try and walk opposite direction of all the action, but I was right in the center of the action when I was not even done taping Out the Door, Weather and More. I stood outside there at that corner of H and 17th, or 18th? 17th. And the motorcades kept going by, and I've never been standing so close to a person, I think Secret Service, that had heavy weaponry. But he kept it to his chest, and he just told us what to do, and we behaved. And then I talked to some people about what's going on in Ukraine, day 1034 yesterday, day 1035 today, of what's going on in Ukraine. And I just try to become enlightened, and I listen to their stories. And that's, I think, the most important thing in the world, is to try and listen to one another and then make friends. And we did a lot of that yesterday, tried to go off in the opposite direction. So I said, hey, Charlie, let's go for a walk to DuPont Circle. Admiral Francis DuPont from the Civil War era. Lots of monuments around here. But when we got to DuPont Circle, there was, of course, this major gathering of people, and not even sure what they were chanting or singing or saying, but I walked through them and I tried to listen a little bit, but was kind of more interested in getting through there and just getting some imagery and seeing the character of people just trying to express themselves. As not everyone's going to agree, but we try and sit down and listen. And then last night I went to this ball. I think it was called a ball, yeah, and it was kind of ridiculous, the number of people that were there. But I met some characters as usual, and I think I told some of you guys that I was going to put you out in Weather and More, Out the Door, Weather and More. And so not everyone like-minded, believe it or not. There are plenty of Democrats hanging around in Washington, D.C., of course, both sides of the aisle. And last night we tried to get along. When it's human versus weather, that's always been historically the way humans come together, because we all share the weather together. It's a common bond. So let's keep the weather as a common bond, regardless of where I report from. I just love watching it all, like the northern edge of the storm right now. I can see those clouds really whipping along, and the uncertainty of what's going to happen in life is the only certainty in life, that it's uncertain, including the weather forecast. All right, I'm going to leave you with Charlie and I going for a walk towards the east yesterday, and sorry you lost, Charlie. We ended up at the DuPont Hotel, and we saw all these different embassies. I think Hungary, Tunisia, Australia, on Massachusetts Ave, DuPont. One of the reasons I want to go there is because guess the name of the avenues that meet at DuPont Circle: Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts. So I had to go there, and we passed this place called the Mayflower. So there's so much history around here. The history is rich, and let's not forget about that. And let's just keep an eye on the sky, as they say. And we'll talk to you again in 24 hours. Yep, audio issues. Always audio issues. Buttoning up. They're from Israel. I just asked. It's nice enough to answer. I don't know if they're going live or not. It doesn't look like they... Yep, they do have live capabilities. Right there. It's a live link. Equipment's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. It's going up on the sidewalk. Up on the sidewalk. All the way by the dark gray pile. Yeah, this is intense. He's reporting live in Israel. We're up on the sidewalk. He's making sure we behave ourselves. And some people are just out for a jog. I honestly don't know what everyone's... We're all just looking at each other, I guess. And we've got one live reporter. He's reporting live to Israel right now. It is freezing. Hard to make videos, and we're being told. Okay, so standing for Ukraine. It's been 1,064 days, and mixed feelings on the incoming president. But some of it's positive.
president look like?
So the blue sky has turned gray. It's a total snow sky. And sure enough, we've got some sort of wintertime instability index, Windex type snowflakes coming out of the sky in Washington, D.C., where I hear some kind of big event going on a couple blocks over there right now. But you can see there's the convection and there are snowflakes in the air. What is this? I don't know, just about 11:30 a.m. on Monday, January 20th. Roger that. Windex. Noontime. Just sitting here editing because weather is the number one thing for me. The schedules are tough to keep here. And what else? Making new friends. Always making new friends. Nice to meet you. Nomaki. Last afternoon in Washington. It's chilly out, but I feel like going for a walk to that DuPont Circle at the intersection of Massachusetts Ave and Connecticut Ave. Just read about Admiral DuPont. And I'm watching 47 over here rewrite laws seconds after taking his oath. They didn't need to deploy the snowplows rather than blocking roads, and 17th now turns into Connecticut right over there. Just walk right down. Sun at your back, that means you're headed east. Lots of cool names around here. The Mayflower on Connecticut Ave. Get down, get jiggy with it. And like I said, I'm not rooting for anybody, just observing. Fun observing. Pinsies. All aboard. Oh, look at that sunshine up there. That's Trojan. University of Southern California, Capitol campus. Look at those flags up in the wind. Who's that? Is that Benjamin Franklin? I want to talk to him. They all look like Benjamin Franklin. Presbyterian minister. Oh, I think that qualifies. Mad Hatter. DuPont Circle, coming right up. Bridge. Bottomless mimosas. Blue Jay. Hemp. Yo, bro. Wow, I don't think the sun ever hits here. How is it that this is all solid ice? And anyhow, we've reached the DuPont Circle. And it looks like we've got some characters. We've got content here. Oh, mind the ice. There's the circle, that's the sunny part. There's the sunny part. Let's just get right up there and see what's going on. Walk like a penguin. Walk like a penguin. Just saying anything they want. Covering this live back in our homeland. Watch the ice. There's lots of ice down there. It's hard to get through the ice, people. Whatever it is, I'm against it.
To continue to fight beyond the ceasefire to demand freedom for our political prisoners, lifting of the siege in Gaza.
I don't think this is a pep rally.
We will continue to hold these war criminals accountable and to isolate Zionism through a people's arms embargo.
They're very polite to our sisters anyway. Ah, sunshine. You guys are smart over here in the sun. Ah, much better over here. Anyhow, DuPont is up there somewhere. So much for getting the history of DuPont Circle. We're getting the present tense of DuPont Circle. Hey, pigeons, what do you know about this circle? Well, if you keep going around and around, look, kids, Parliament, Big Ben. Kidding. Everything starts with some kind of movement, especially on cold days like today. Gotta keep moving.
DuPont Circle Northwest.
So I overshot it. We went stayed on Connecticut. We've got to go to New Hampshire and Massachusetts to get to the DuPont Hotel. Get some close to blocks over here too. DuPont Underground, and Metro Police everywhere. Oh yeah, standing in the sun. That's the way to do it. I think I see Massachusetts Avenue. Massachusetts. Siri's probably gonna interrupt me in a second.
Take a left on Massachusetts Avenue Northwest, then continue straight for a quarter mile.
So Massachusetts is the native word for people that lived by the hill, and that would be Blue Hill, and that would be about 700 miles north of here in Massachusetts. And my guess
In a quarter mile, continue straight to enter the roundabout onto Scott Circle Northwest.
Oh, another circle. So Michael, ball buddy man, energy dude, this is the Brookings Institution. And I see that in your LinkedIn. So do you have an office up here? Can we crash it? Looks sunny. 1776 Massachusetts Avenue. What a cool address. Head toward the crane. This is interesting. The Johns Hopkins University. International Studies. This is pretty cool. 1727 Massachusetts Avenue. Don't know what language that was. Boston House with massive magnolia. Gotta see those in bloom. Wow. Oh, no, we got heavy equipment going on over here. Embassy of Australia. Impressive. Hanneman. It's like the thinker. Oh, this sidewalk could use some of that salt.
In 200 feet, take a right onto the road.
Right onto the road on our butt. You may understand why, because this is the embassy of Tunisia. And they probably don't have ice melt, I guess, in Tunisia. Okay, going full circle now. This is Rhode Island Avenue. TK taking Charlie on a wild goose chase. Thought we were going to the DuPont Hotel, but I screwed that up. But at least we're seeing all the different embassies. Here's Hungary, and that's what Charlie says. He's hungry. So maybe they'll serve us lunch in there. This one's got some action.
That's some goulash.
We need some lunch. Can you let us in? We are very hungry. Bow, bow, bow. I just want to say, I wasn't alone on this mission. I just want to see how far you'd walk in the wrong direction. We just walked 2 miles the wrong way. We found it. Hey, look, kids, Parliament, Big Ben. There's a restaurant here named Doyle's. Exactly what the doctor ordered. That was a long walk. And then there's the Admiral after DuPont. We got an Admiral DuPont circle. And the sun's getting low enough in the sky that I think my 50 videos I've made today should do it. Long shadows and a little fresh snow on our last afternoon in Washington, D.C. Leave you with the time lapse from Weymouth, where we had a few inches of snow and a lot of wind. Temperature's going down for a few days before it comes back up. And as always, the weather forecast remains in question, in motion. Waves, weather comes in waves, weather forecasts come in waves. Traffic comes in waves. That's Elon Musk's horn. It's Tesla making that noise. What?
Here we go. So The sun used to be there. On the other side of that.
It's like every AU guy, they give you a free donut.
Syracuse University. They got everything here. And Mare's Tails.